Hello everyone, I am Luke with Table, and I live in Minnesota, the frozen north. You can't tell by my voice, I'm not local. But I find that my company is very much national, and the way we started is we were a bunch of local independent business owners who, very mom and pop. We run our business. Most of us open the office, shut the office at night, 7 days a week, every day of the year. And we started to battle some internet giants, some companies who had raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And when you try to compete against that and you are, a very local entity who probably didn't raise any money at all, it becomes problematic. So what we did, we belong to an association called the Restaurant Marketing and Delivery Association. If you can't tell with Table delivery, it's food related. And we all got together and said, if we pool our resources, if we work together in all of our different markets, we can actually compete and go against these massive giants. So we started Table. Now, to talk about the food delivery industry itself, it's pretty massive, and it's growing a ridiculous amount. I think about 10 years ago it was estimated to be about $24 billion, and now it's somewhere around $210, $250 billion, depending on what analyst you talk to. And part of the giant spread is because of the local entities, like all of my partners, like one of my partners, Keith, up in the front row, from Speedwaiter. He's local. A lot of those companies sprouted out all across the country to help provide delivery service from restaurants that typically don't deliver. Because delivery is a very hands-on and logistic-heavy business. When you run a restaurant, that's problematic. But it also because of some of these massive portals or internet giants. They came in with a ton of capital, and what they did is they aggregated all the information. So they put every restaurant onto a website, and you could just order from that one single point. What they don't tell you is some of the problems associated with that. So, for example, connectivity. There's a disconnect. What they typically do is they utilize a service like Speedwaiter, and they have them finish the last mile. So every delivery that happens is not actually taking place by them, it's taken place by the Keiths of the world. And that was okay to start with. It was a nice partnership. But as we continued along the process, they started raising their fees, kind of squeezing mom and pops out of the business. And then they actually started hiring delivery drivers in areas that had enough data to see what they could do on their own. One of the companies, Grubhub, who is, I think, the only public entity in this space, their market cap is like $5 billion. And when they go in and they hire a bunch of delivery personnel, it becomes problematic because they don't, they're based in Chicago. So they don't get to talk to the delivery drivers. They don't get to make sure that they represent the brand appropriately, that they, showered today, that they, are taking care of the customer's needs, where the local entities we were. They also started doing misleading pricing. So on their site, it doesn't always tell you not only who's going to deliver the food, it just says sometimes third-party service, or nothing at all. And it also will sometimes have marked up pricing and service fees that you don't see until later on. So unless you know your favorite Chipotle burrito, what it costs when you pick it up, you won't know what you're ordering is actually an increased cost so that company can make more money. But when we looked at it, how do we battle those internet giants, and is it worth it? And we look at some of the facts that 95% of it's basically untapped, especially as we continue to grow in the age of internet. That becomes very powerful, and the growth is just expansive. Like I said, about 10 years ago, it was a tenth of this size, and they're projecting it's going to be even larger. So what did Table do? So Table took all these local delivery service owner and operators, and we kind of pooled our resources together. We started a company, Table. together. I actually run a delivery service in Minnesota, so I know what it's like on the day-to-day ground level, talking to people. And we built a system for us to be able to better combat that and actually still service the end user, the customer. Customer service is really important to us. That's number one. So what we did is we made a customer interface so that people could still order all of our services from one single point. Again, so that when you go into an area, typically, you know, these owner-operators are really inundated with day-to-day business. Making sure people show up on time, making sure the customers are taken care of, that the food quality is good, talking to restaurants, building those relationships. And so sales and marketing kind of starts dropping a little bit on the list. That's where we can come in and kind of provide that giant sales and marketing arm for them. But also, since all of us own the company, it's kind of a collective benefit. And then we've got a back-end engine so that we can send orders to all of our partners across the entire country, and we can kind of streamline the process, make it more efficient. So a lot of our systems are automated. We built in algorithms to help make it so that, you know, when we send an order, let's say someone comes into town, they know about table from another city, they can order, they'll see that our local partner is, you know, Speedwaiter, here's our logo, here's our name, these are the pricing that they offer on their delivery, so that you know and it's trusted, and we do vet these people out, so it's not just, you know, anyone can jump up there. So what kind of helps Table be successful? So this is kind of an example of what a traditional portal looks like. So you've got kind of the center entity, and you've got all these tentacles that are kind of going out and expanding the company. So when they first started, they were pretty much all in technology, maybe some customer support on a higher level, and then sales and marketing. But now that they're hiring delivery drivers in different areas, they have to do all of these extra things. So you can see it becomes extremely complicated and convoluted, especially when you are not in that market. I can tell you, if you wanted to hire someone here, what's going to be better, that you're here or that you're in, you know, a state 7 states away with a completely different market, completely different demographic, different needs, and different ideas. It's just much harder to do, which makes it a slower process, and usually from a customer service standpoint, that's the first thing that kind of gets dropped on the floor. And then for all of the orders that they take, again, since one of them is a publicly traded company, we get to see that they make about 8.9 cents an order, which is extremely low, so they have to make up with it by massive volume. Versus Table, we pretty much only focus on marketing, technology, which we share with our partners, and customer service. Again, that top level, so that we can answer basic questions through our live chat, help with basic ordering questions, where's our food, things like that. But because we have those local partnerships, because we focus not just on the nation, but being local and being ingrained in that community, we're able to cut all the rest of the stuff out, which our partners, like Speedwaiter, do crazy well. I am not suited to do customer service and order management and logistics and things like that in Fayetteville. I'm in Minneapolis. I would be terrible at that. But Keith lives here. He's perfect for it. I know if there's a problem that I'll communicate with Keith, and he could literally just show up at the door and apologize, say, I'm sorry, what can we do for you? What can we do to help you? That's an invaluable tool that none of these other companies have. And we share that. So we take care of these big kind of money and time consuming aspects so that they can focus on the hardcore core of their business. Customer service, order management, hiring the right people, and fulfilling that order. And because we don't have any of those crazy tentacles all over the place, our earn per order is about $6 versus 8.9 cents. So and that allows us to also give back to our local partners. Now you have to have a team to be able to do this, and like I said, I think we're in 27 states at this point. We've kind of done a soft launch, so we've been actively taking orders for about 10 months. But it's a process. So when another company starts, they'll be in an area, they'll live there, they'll sign a contract with, let's say, 10 restaurants, and then they kind of grow from there. So because we all pooled our resources together and started this company, when we opened our doors, we had, I think, 5,000 restaurants, which at the time, I think, made us the 4th largest entity in the country. But since we're kind of banding together to do this, what that does is we now have to spread our marketing dollars severely across the way, because we did not raise $1 million. We did not raise hundreds of millions. We bootstrapped it. We took what we do best, which is cunning and guile. We put our feet to the ground and we built this with a lot of hard work and sweat from all of our partners. But we have to have a team to continually run it. And thankfully, with the internet, Keith and I can communicate pretty effectively without too much issue. I am one of the founder and CEOs, but by the way, almost every one of our partners is a founder, all but I think one. Keith is a founding partner. He was there when we first brought it as an idea at one of our conventions. And then we've got, who kind of helps me run the operations, Emily Broski. She's been in the industry 20 years itself. She helped found DeliveryNow.com out of New Jersey. So she's one of our board members and executive team. And then you've got Paul Burrell. Paul Burrell not only helped spur this idea, but he's also the president of the Restaurant Marketing and Delivery Association. Having our only association kind of back us and be partners with us and help us every step of the way really shows that we care. And it's not about making massive amounts of profits and all of us retiring to an island, which would be great, as long as there's no hurricanes around us. But it's more about protecting the small business and making sure that we can thrive individually and continue to do what we do best. That's why every order at table, when you order, we don't just tell you it's going to be delivered by someone else and then just let you go. We tell you who it's going to be done by. Because as strange as it sounds, we don't want you to come back. We want you to use Table in that market once and then find out who that local provider is and use them for every order in the future. You're more than welcome to come back. You're going to get the same level of service, but there are so many people across the country that I'm confident that passing along those customers to those local entities that really can help you out can do great things. And that is Table. Again, we are food delivery, but a very, very local feel. Any questions? Yes, sir.
When you pass off the customer, it goes once to your site, then it goes back to Keith. How do you keep on generating revenue?
So you don't actually have to go to multiple places. You go to our site and you'll see, you enter your address, you'll see all the restaurants available for you. You pick it, you put, whatever you want to order. Let's say Chipotle. You build your burrito, you build your burrito bowl, you order it. It tells you, hey, Speedwaiter is going to be delivering it. This is kind of an estimated time of delivery. Here's your receipt. And then after that, that's it. So how do we make money? We make money off of every order that comes through our system.
Okay, so the next time I go to his place,
yep,
you make no money?
That is correct. I know it seems weird that a business would not want to continue making money off a customer. We do have repeat customers, so that will happen. But when you're talking about a company who's leading the industry right now, a $5 billion market cap, and they represent 10% of the market, we can make enough money to help our local partners without gouging the customer and forcing them to use us continually.
Why would you not take a cut without gouging it? 1%, 2%?
So we do take a percentage of the ticket. What I mean more is when you get some of these companies who've raised $100 million, venture capitalists, they want to see massive returns. They don't want to see 2 times, 3 times. They want to see 10 times, 100 times. So if they have to pay for a bunch of staff, so if I'm in Minneapolis and I hire operators and I hire delivery personnel here in Fayetteville, I know a lot of them won't stick. Why? Because I'm not here. I can't see them. I don't know what their work habits are. Resumes are nice, but they can be very misleading. And you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. I've had a job where I'm a pretty good worker, but I just wasn't fit for the job. I took a job painting outdoors once. I'm just not fit for that job. I know a lot of good ones, but that's not me. So now I'm going to have to continually spend more money and more money and more money to get those people right, which means that either I'm going to have a really high burn rate through all that hundreds of millions and continue to raise more money, or I'm going to have to charge you marked up cost on your items, service fees, things that Speedwaiter doesn't have to charge you because they're here. So I'm going to have to offset that cost somehow, otherwise my VC partners are going to shut me down really quick.
I have a question. So
Yes.
You said you get a percentage of Speedwaiter's check. So I don't go through you anymore. I go strictly through Speedwaiter from now on. You get a cut of that, 1%, 2%, or no,
Nope.
once I'm done with you. So my question to you is, how do you, so you're banking on what? What's your hook? How do you generate revenue? Because I'm a one-time shopper. That's not really how the business model's supposed to work. So
Yeah, so typically you want a customer to order 3 to 4 times before you make a positive return because of how much you have to spend in customer acquisition, right? So the benefit is, let's say, so you live here and you want to continue ordering, in your home area. You order a table once and you get Speedwaiter, you're happy with the service, you just go directly to Speedwaiter. But chances are you're going to travel at some point. Vacation, business, leisure, whatever you want.
but what if I don't?
Sure, I will take the chance that you don't, because I know the statistics on people that end up doing.
Okay.
But when you go to different markets, how are you going to find that service?
That's what, okay.
You'd have to Google, and like in Iowa, where I'm originally from, one of the towns that my parents live in, they asked me for a service in the area. And I didn't know it at the time, so I looked. I had to go to page 6 on Google to find them. Raise your hand if you go to page 6 on Google when you search for things. No one. Do you go to page 2 sometimes? Sometimes. See, so finding that service is almost impossible. And they have so much to do from just a logistics and daily operations standpoint that to try and increase that rank so that you find them, it's going to take years. It's going to just take years. So we can now be that entry point. And there are a good amount of people that travel a lot. So that's why we do have repeat customers. That's why we do have people who are continually in different markets and keep coming back to us. We do things like reward points, and every dollar you spend, you get a percentage back. And we'll do promo codes and coupon codes, things that to bring business to the local service like Speedwaiter. But then Speedwaiter doesn't have to pay for that. So if I give you $10 off an order, Speedwaiter doesn't have to now cover that. He doesn't have to worry about making enough sales to cover that cost in the long run. We can take care of that for him.
So your target audience would be business travelers, maybe vacationers, or?
So our target audience, we look at it from a first point of contact. Our target audience is anyone who eats, which is usually a large sum of people.
Yeah, but everybody doesn't eat out.
That's correct. That's why we exist. Because if you ate out, you would drive to the restaurant. You'd go eat. But how many times do you sit at home and not want to go eat? Maybe it's too hot out. In Minnesota, maybe it's like 17 inches of snow on the ground. There are lots of reasons. Maybe you're just tired from the working day. You want to go out. But man, that salmon at World of Beers, that's really good. I wish I could have that. You just jump online and get it. Yes?
So a certain profile of a person who will seek out your website
Mm-hmm.
and order food online, whether they're at their home domicile or travel.
Yes.
I assume that you have an understanding of how valuable that information is on that customer, both to your company and to others.
Mhm.
Having their name, phone number, address,
Yep.
email.
Very sensitive. We don't share with third parties. I mean, I will obviously share things with our local partners so that they can fulfill that order and do remarketing, but I have no interest in selling that data.
Well, I mean, if I were to choose to be a customer and that was an understanding, I would find that acceptable.
Oh, yeah, and
Some people would, I mean.
there, we do get questions about how secure it is and things like that. The biggest thing you can do is when you go to a site, if there's a place where you can order, if you look in the top left of that web address, not only will it have a green padlock, but it'll say HTTPS, which means secure. So I usually just point people to that, and then in our terms and conditions, it says we don't sell your data. I will send you coupon codes and things in the mail, or in the email, but you can opt out of that pretty simply. Yes.
So, are you filling the gap for the restaurants that don't have a delivery option? They don't already deliver, and you partner with Speedwaiter to do that service? And
It's a good question. So no, Speedwaiter. So there's, here at Speedwaiter in New Jersey, it's Delivery Now. In Texas, it's Zula Food. In Minnesota, it's F&S Delivers. There's a lot of these smaller entities that will go and talk to the restaurant, provide solutions so that they can get that food delivered without them handling it. What we do is we become like a giant sales and marketing arm for them. So in order to get the word out, in order to let you know that that's now a possibility, when you have to pay payroll taxes and all these drivers, whether they're independent contractors or employees, money gets spread a little thin. We step in and we say, okay, let us help you get that customer. Let us help you get that word out. And because of how our website's built and all the logos and names we're listing for everyone, that also gives them a boost in SEO for their internal site. Yes, young man.
Did I hear you say that when you opened the doors, you had 5,000 restaurants on board?
That's correct.
How did you do that?
Because all of us have, like Speedwaiter had, more than 10. How many? About a year ago, how many restaurants did you have? Ballpark.
59.
59. So in every market, there's a number that our local partner has. And when I mean partner, I don't mean like we have relationships together. I literally mean they own a piece of this company.
So you met people like Keith at your trade shows? Or
Absolutely.
That's how you met them?
Yeah.
Contacted them?
And there are some we met through, there are Facebook groups and things like that where we kind of join in and work together because we are in different markets, so it's not too difficult.
They were getting run over by these huge.
Yes.
So they looked for that's pretty good. And who built
and
that platform to track all those orders for the 5,000 companies?
we built it all internally.
Is that right?
Yes. The gentleman who helped build our site, so I help a lot with user interface. I'm not a good coder at all. Again, that's one of those things my brain just does not work that way. But he is a vendor in the industry, and he saw the need and what we were trying to accomplish. So he said, I'll build it for free. I won't charge you anything. It took him a year and a half to build it. He didn't charge us a single dime. And it's all about collaborativeness. So I think now that we've almost hit that year mark, I think we have about 10,000 restaurants, which makes us now the second largest because the second one just got bought out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Two questions.
I'll get to it.
You said that you're making $6 per order. So
Yes.
what's the cost of acquisition for those orders?
It depends on different mediums cost different. So Google AdWords is probably one of our more expensive, only because keywords are, that's actually one of the problems that a company like Speedwaiter faces.
Right.
So when you're in an area with some of these huge entities, they've got cash to burn. So when you're looking at a cost per click for words, usually it's maybe 25 cents to bid on a keyword, 15 cents, a little more normal. There are, like in tier 1 cities, like New York City,
Right.
you can see the word delivery costs $5 a click. That's insane. No small business can ever absorb that. That's just impossible.
Right.
What we do is kind of bridge that gap and break it down for them. So Google AdWords is probably our more expensive. Fluctuates. I think ours right now is probably around $20 a person. But then you've got Facebook advertising, which is a little cheaper, and then we do affiliate marketing through banner ads or email lists and things like that, where it gets more down to like $5 to $7 an order.
Okay.
So what we try and do is look at the average. So across all of our mediums, weight it percentage-wise, obviously,
Yep.
and figure it out. That's why I say about 3 to 4 times. After a customer orders 3 to 4 times, I know that I'm now generating positive income from that one customer.
So then, in the past year that you guys have been working, have you guys been profitable, or you're still working to get profitable? Because obviously your business model is very interesting in the fact that you just became the overhead, right?
Yes.
That normally takes a restaurant business down.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, well, we're going to take that problem for a whole bunch of, restaurant-focused businesses, which makes a lot of sense in the sense that you don't need as much overhead as they
Correct.
would have aggregate, right? If they all hired those things to do marketing and sales and.
Correct.
So I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm just wondering in terms of, how long will it take for Table to be profitable, I guess, A,
Sure.
and then B, would it make more sense for it to be a nonprofit entity? In the sense that you provide that service and all you need to do is break even to cover your staff expenses, your
Sure.
marketing support, et cetera, where you're not dealing with some of the other pieces of corporate taxes and yada.
Sure. So there are a couple pieces to that. We are not profitable today. The amount of money that we raised collectively to start the company, we're still on that burn rate.
Okay.
But that's mostly because we have focused almost none on sales and marketing. I know that sounds weird because I just said that that's our core efficiency. But you have to build the platform itself. You have to make sure that the process works. So when I send an order to Speedwaiter, does he get it? Does it look right? Are there missing gaps? And then does he have the ability to tell me, okay, I got it, no problems, without me having to call him and make sure he has it,
Right.
which takes more resources.
Right.
So we've mostly spent time doing proof of concept, making sure it's built out, making sure it works properly. Currently, we're looking at profitability in the next 12 months, which then we would be the only portal that would be profitable in this country, because none of the other ones are profitable.
Of course not. They started out way too deep in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, even the one that's a public entity right now, they're not profitable.
Right.
But you got $500 million in the bank, you can make that last a little while.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the first question, or answer your
So
question.
about a year.
Yeah, the next, we looked at a lot of different, we actually looked at doing a co-op when we first put it together. But when we looked at, not only does this company kind of have to run on its own life cycle and kind of go in a direction that most of these smaller services can't do, but we needed maximum flexibility. So we also have the ability to represent the service and sign national contracts. If Keith calls up Applebee's and says, I want to do a deal with you, they're going to say, how many stores can you handle?
Right.
And he's going to say, 3, 4, 5?
Right.
And they're going to say, I don't even,
And we have to refer you up to corporate.
I won't wake up for 3 to 5 restaurants.
Right.
But now I can say, hey, our collective group can service 27 states.
Yeah.
Now that's something they'll talk about. We can also do things like sign up restaurants that do their own delivery that also need sales and marketing. All that revenue generated doesn't just go to expand and make Table a much better and solvent entity, but then we can use some of those dividends and those profit sharing to our local partners. Right. So that when Keith has to go and hire a new driver or hire a new customer service rep, he can spend a little more. He can make sure that they're even better, so that when you're looking at the two competition pieces, one clearly stands out for service.
And then my, well, I shouldn't say last question because it might not be.
I bet on it.
But have you thought about partnering with hotels? Since, because it sounds like, right, the value proposition that table offers, right, for local entities is, like you said, the national, the traveling piece, right? The
Sure.
non-local piece, right?
Yep.
It's local in the sense that I can push you business, people become aware of you, right, which is better. But I think in and of itself as an entity, that's the unique value contribution in terms of that level.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm wondering if you guys have given any thought to connecting with restaurant and tourism industry so that, you know, you could go and say, well, people are going to travel, they're going to travel and stay at a hotel, resort, you know, yada, yada, yada. And then, because when I used to do conferences in different cities, you know, you have hotels that have concierge services,
Yes.
which are like below subpar, you know, here's a map that you can't read.
It's a guy with handwritten recommendations
Right,
that he got
and
from
he's
someone
like,
else.
oh yeah, there's this great salmon place up the road, I'm vegetarian. Yeah, I don't know what's vegetarian here in Louisville. He has no clue, right?
Sure.
So, so I'm thinking that what you're offering also, people definitely, that whole profile you described as a customer applies to me at a hotel in Louisville. It's like, man, I want to eat, but.
Yeah, so absolutely, and there are even a lot of hotel chains that don't have restaurants at all. They don't have bars, so they've got nothing to serve you.
Right.
A lot of those markets we are in. So we have had discussions with them. The first piece was we just finished POS integration.
Okay.
So in a hotel that does possess a restaurant, we're with 11 of the top 15 point of sale systems. So when we get an order, if it needs to go to that hotel restaurant, it can just pop up in their system. I don't have to talk to anyone. They don't have to talk to me. It literally just prints a ticket, and now it's in their queue.
Right.
So that way they don't have to utilize more staff in order to help me out. But then, again, with the sales and marketing piece, we can now provide, professional brochures and things like that that can go in every room that tell them, the traveler, what they can do.
Right.
We also do work with larger companies so that when their people are out traveling, there's a corporate account that we can take care of.
Right.
And again, a lot of corporate accounts take 30 to 90 days to pay.
Uh-huh.
That can sometimes be problematic depending on the size for a local mom and pop.
Yep.
We take that burden off them because we have very strict payment terms with them. So we send the money out regardless, and then it's our job to collect it.
Got it.
Let's see what you're doing for the.
Hold on one second.
Everybody.
There's a lovely lady who's been waiting for a nice time.
Okay, besides the profit that you get from each order.
Yes.
Just a simple question. Delivery now and Speed Later, do they pay you a contingency fee every year to be part of your system?
Nope. They're just like a normal partner. So we agreed what we thought the company was going to be worth in order to raise our seed round to start, and all of us put in the same amount of money. So at the beginning, we were all equal partners. That is kind of adjusted a bit because some of these companies wanted to buy more after everyone kind of got in. Some of the executive team, like myself, I don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
So instead, I get tied to the longevity of the company. So I'll get a little more stock in the company to make sure that it goes right. Otherwise, well, basically what I'm doing is for free.
Right.
And one last comment.
Yeah.
Regarding traveling, it might be good to hook up with AAA and be part of the AAA.
That is a good idea. I have not thought of that.
That was all.
Thank you.
I don't see where, I see what you're doing a lot for your local guys.
Sure.
And maybe I'm misunderstanding that you're calling them partners. I don't see what those partners are doing for you.
Oh, that's really easy.
One-sided.
Well,
But there's nothing coming back. You don't charge a franchise fee, you're
Do
not
not.
getting a cut.
But-
What's coming back your way from everything that you're doing for them?
Sure. So that's probably my favorite part. Is very simply, it would take a lot of capital and a lot of resources for me to go to every market, contact restaurants, try and sign them into a contract, deal with local customer service issues, hire drivers. I don't have to deal with any of that. So Keith, as an example, when Keith goes out and signs a new restaurant, let's say a new restaurant pops up, he goes and talks to the owner, he explains how the process works, what his cut is, how it's incremental sales, how he doesn't get paid unless he brings them an order. I now get that contract. So that restaurant gets listed on my site. I didn't have to spend a lot of resources to go do that. Instead, I just had to have a
But you're
really
not
awesome
getting a
partner.
cut of what he's getting.
Not on his site, but then I now have the ability to market that restaurant on my own.
Yeah, but what's
And
the
then how do you
benefit?
get paid from having marketed that restaurant on your own?
Well, I have to go and bring an order in.
You've got to have constant new sales.
So I'm thinking there are two types of sales, right? There's the local where you go and you find restaurants to put on your own platform. And then there's the customer acquisition sales. I'm more in the customer acquisition. Yep, so I think of us as a giant umbrella. I'm able to scatter a lot all over the place, where Keith has to be a little more targeted, a little more specific. I can bring in demographics who maybe fell through the cracks, who he hasn't thought of, and start to turn them into regular customers.
I can see that approach. That's a good idea of itself, but I don't see why it's offsetting or exclusive from charging Keith over here 1%. Keith would pay you 1%.
Like on a yearly basis?
On a sale basis, on an order basis. You get 1% of his sales. Because basically you're giving him his initial startup sales.
A little bit.
And then later on, you get a cut of his sales.
Free marketing, you're doing a lot of legwork for these, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Oh, sure.
You're doing a lot of legwork, and
Sure.
why are you not profitable?
Well, we're not profitable because we haven't focused on sales and marketing. So I think
Is that a good idea?
that's
those boys in the power room here?
Yeah, it's only because of where we are in the life cycle. So
Right.
That will change.
that's about
Again, I would
to
see
flip.
them growing together, not exclusively.
So how this kind of piece works, we could certainly go to Keith and say, okay, so we're bringing you these customers. We can see where they're coming from. I want a cut of all future orders. We could. But the
Part of
chances...
the initial contract without you incurring any other cost, just
Sure.
part of the initial deal.
Sure. But the challenge is that where a service makes all of its money is on a contract that gets a percentage. So if I start to cut into that percentage, not just when I send it, but from all future orders, now I'm starting to debilitate him a little bit. So if in order to make the company a little more profitable, if I start to cut his legs out, he's unable to provide the things that I really want him to provide. Customer service, local operations. Now he's concerned about floating his payroll enough to be able to continually provide that, knowing that just through my massive scale, like I get SEO from New Jersey that helps in Fayetteville. He doesn't have that, just by being this large. So if I start to cut his legs out, and he's concerned about actually staying in operations, then I risk losing X amount of restaurants in Fayetteville. And I either have to find someone to start up a service and then go through it all again, and that costs me resources, or I just am no longer in Fayetteville. But that's
I
probably.
think as you become more successful, that people are going to seek you out.
Yes, but I
And
also
you charge them that 1%.
sure, but I also get to leverage other markets to assist in his area,
Right.
which he is unable to do. So when I get orders in New Jersey, for example, part of that cost helps to market in Keith's area. So it's offset. It's spreading it out so that it's not all on one person's head. It's now on 27 states' heads.
Can you revisit what you just said? Because what's popular or local in New Jersey won't help him out at all, or connect the dots for me.
Yeah, it's about money. So a person who spends money in New Jersey, or actually just having a presence in New Jersey, helps the table page rank and SEO and organic listings that will then push more orders to Keith without us spending a lot of money and without him spending any at all. We get to spread that out.
Because they rank in the local areas. As
Correct.
well as global.
Vice versa, Keith being in this area and me not cutting his legs out by charging more helps promote business in Georgia.
But
Or
you're cutting
somewhere
your
else.
own legs out, because you're not getting the cut of the action, and you're incurring costs.
It's a trade-off.
So the-
I'm sure
Well,
there's
it-
some aspect of customer behavior here. I mean, once you capture a customer,
Mhm.
they're gonna come back to you unless you give them a reason not to. You know?
Yeah, and not every order and not every service is equal, right? So we've all gone to a restaurant where it's our favorite restaurant, and then we order something and it's just off a little bit. Maybe our taste buds have changed. Maybe it's a new server,
Right,
and you're like, really? Like, I've been looking forward to this all week. You just ruined it. So that can happen. So I want every order to be consistent, to be amazing, but there is a chance that one of my local partners won't do as well on one particular order, and it could be just a new driver. It could be that the restaurant took a really long time to make that food because they were backed up. But now you've got kind of this umbrella entity that helps shield them a bit and helps promote to that customer. Because I can send, a $25 gift certificate to say I'm sorry that they don't have to pay for it. But now I get them as a repeat customer.
So then, Luke, is there compensation then on the side that, because I really want your model to work, because I think there's a lot of nobility in what you guys are doing, and why you're doing it.
Thank you.
And so I'm guessing with the 1%, piece that he's raising, have you guys done the numbers in terms of, even if he's getting a membership fee, which is why I raised the nonprofit.
Sure.
That's how
Yeah.
those organizations work. I pay into the system, you provide these things for me.
Yeah, similar with co-ops.
Right, co-ops,
Yep.
American College of Lifestyle Medicine, they help these physicians find patients because they're listed on their website. And they pay a fee for that. Is there a balance by the numbers to say, well, even if I take 1% from Keith, right, in order to provide my service to lower my overhead, I'm bringing him so much more business that it's not hurting him as much. Is that a trade-off that is been looked at to say, we could do that because we're literally taking your business from, 100 orders to 200 orders? Right?
Yeah, so there's two parts to that. One, if I take a percentage, the more my sales increase, the more the cost is going to keep increasing, right? So it stays congruent. But the other piece that I probably neglected, and that's my fault, I apologize, is that we're not just working with services. So I love Keith, I will work with him every single day. But our job is also to get restaurants that do their own delivery. Those are completely different entities. I want those people to come back. I like the restaurant, I don't have a problem with them taking care of the order, but they are not my local partner. They're just a content piece. So the person who orders from Jimmy John's on my site, I don't want them to go to jimmyjohns.com. I want them to come back to table.
Okay.
That will help offset things. That is, so we have about 10,000 restaurants now. The National Restaurant Association put out that last year there was 1 million restaurants in this country. So even if I get a portion of that do their own delivery, because they do that now, the revenue model is significantly different.
And so you have the numbers to show that balance, to
Yep.
say, I just need this many restaurants that do their own delivery service.
Correct.
Combined with the.
It's more of a starting piece. And then, because oftentimes, because delivery is so logistically dense,
Right.
If they have the conversation where they go, this is a really expensive process for us, I don't know if we can continue doing delivery on our own, then we can start having conversations of, hey, well, I do have a local partner. You talk to them about partnering up, so they can maybe take some of that burden off, and you're still going to generate the sales. But that's a smaller percentage.
Gotcha.
Luke, I want to take the final question, please.
Yes?
What can this community do to help you?
Good question. So in most of the areas I go to, it's all about bringing table a little more into that community. So I ask for restaurants and people that that we can talk with, so that we can help these restaurants out and bring them sales. This is a unique market because I have one of my beautiful local partners here. So I think it's kind of twofold. One, restaurants are our lifeblood. That's what really matters to myself and to Keith. So anyone that the two of us can talk to so that we can bring that to the local community is great, as well as just simple outreach, telling people we exist, because we didn't raise hundreds of millions, so I'm not going to just pepper you with direct mail pieces. And you know, the more people that are recommended to us that are good, high quality people, we can increase our customer service standpoint. We can increase decrease delivery times. We can just serve the community better. So networking and things like that, that's really what will benefit us the most.
Thank you.
Thank you.